The goblins will get you if you don't watch out. To take you and shake you until you shout. Stop, look, and listen. It's Halloween.
Hello. So for this first Saturday in this month of horror films, I've gone for one which I consider to be one of the most fun, scary movies there's ever been. An 80s film, it's a remake of a 1958 film that famously starred Steve McQueen, but it's one of the best remakes, not just of the 80s, but of the genre. And it is Chuck Russell's The Blob from 1988.
If it had a mind, you could reason with it. If it had a body, you could shoot it. If it had a heart, you could kill it. Now, man is no longer the supreme being on this planet.
The organism is growing at a geometric rate. By all accounts, it's at least 1,000 times its original mass.
Nobody believes me about what happened tonight.
What did happen?
You were there, you saw.
Plasmic life form that hunts its prey. Predator.
I want that organism alive.
I think you ticked it off.
Blob. Terror has no shape.
Directed by Chuck Russell, it was also co-written by him and Frank Darabont. They had previously worked together just a year before on A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3 Dream Warriors, which, you know, if you're a fan of that franchise, that's one of the best ones. Frank Darabont obviously went on to direct Shawshank Redemption and The Green Mile and The Mist, but at this time he was a jobbing writer. And it is a very well-constructed script. The thing that I love most about it is that it's got this gleeful sense of humour. It's playing with the conventions, and of course, being a remake, it's able to riff on what came before. And it takes a lot of pleasure in turning the dial up to maximum carnage, while still creating these characters who feel like they could have walked off the pages of a Stephen King book. It's got some spectacular set pieces. It does another take on the cinema sequence from the original, and the Blob, which you might not think of being a formidable villain, is actually really fucking scary, and it can come at you from anywhere. Up drain pipes, drop down from the ceiling. It can even come exploding out of the bosom of Baywatch's Eric Eleniak, so you've got that to look forward to. What's extra impressive about the film and the special effects is that they began production in January and it was in cinemas by August. It didn't do well at the box office, but then monster movies don't tend to do well in general. It hasn't been since the 50s where they were in their heyday. I first saw the film in the early 90s when I was about 10 years of age. I caught it on RTE one night and I was in a cold sweat watching it. The film was terrifying to me. But over the years, as I've gone back to revisit it, I now get the trolling sense of humour. It's having so much fun with a town that gets overrun by an inside-out stomach that's devouring people. Characters that you think are going to make it to the end don't, in ways that are brutal to behold, and it has more than one audacious bait-and-switch moment. It was shot for a budget of $10 million, which is about 8 times what the original had, and it's all up on screen. The scale of the film continues to expand, just like The Blob, and it doesn't spare any expense. It goes for broke across the board. You can tell that the filmmakers were really thinking about what's the most spectacular thing we can put on screen and going for it, and they succeed. The practical effects are a sight to behold and the best that the 80s had to offer. It's up there with The Thing and The Fly in terms of great remakes, but the only thing that I don't particularly love about the film is the music. If it had a different score, I think the whole thing would be elevated. But in terms of its script, in terms of its cast with Shawnee Smith and Kevin Dillon and Donovan Leitch, and its direction and its special effects, it really is one of the best horror films I've ever seen, and it's why I'm recommending it. If you've not seen The Blob, go check it out, and if you have seen it, check it out again and see if it holds up. And let me know in the comments what you think. So, my recommendation for Saturday is 1988's The Blob. Enjoy!
Look, listen, it's high.